In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to create a parking lot in Revit by using Toposolids. I'm going to be showing you the entire process from start to finish without skipping any steps, and we're going to be doing it on a challenging terrain. Let's go. Now, before we jump into Revit, you may have noticed on the images of this parking lot that we have created that I have these really cool car families. They're very realistic and highly parametric. Now, if you would like to get these families or some of our other families that we offer on balkanarchitect.com, I'm going to be leaving a link up in the cards above and down in the description of this video. We offer many different family libraries, different templates, and we also have, of course, our courses. So now, without any further ado, let's jump straight into Revit. And here we are in Revit. This is the terrain in question. As you can see, it's slanted off to one side. I think it's something like a 5-meter difference. Yes, that's right. And if I jump here to the site plan, you can see I've sketched out by using detail lines how I want this parking lot to work. So here we have a road, then we have an access road for the parking, and then it's divided into two areas because they're going to be at different heights. So obviously, whenever you have a challenging terrain like this, you want to minimize the excavation work, so that's why we're going to be doing this in two different levels. And then, of course, the third level is going to be the road. So let me show you how I approach this. So the first step is going to be here in the site plan. I'm just going to select the Toposolid and then go to modify sub-elements. And now I'm going to get started. So what I like to do is I like to mark out the center of the road, and then I level it out by bringing it up on the lower side here and then digging it in the higher side. So what we're going to do for that is just use a split line. Now I prefer using this only for straight roads. So if you have a straight road like this, you just use a split line. I'm going to set this to a long surface with 0 offset, and then I'm just going to find kind of the center of the road and then click and go off to the other side. So we really didn't change the terrain in any way. We have just added this split line over here. Okay, moving forward, let's go select the terrain, go to modify sub elements again. And now what I'll do is I'm just going to start adding points. Now these points, I'm just going to add them along the surface with 0 offset, and I'm going to do that all the way around where my parking lot is going to be. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want to use these points in order to lock in the position of the terrain, so lock in that slope. So when I start making changes here where the parking lot is, I don't want to kind of change too much or too far outside of the boundary of that parking lot. Usually you would just kind of dig around the building. You wouldn't dig, let's say, 50 meters or 300 feet away from the building. It doesn't make any sense. So let's do that. So I'm just going to zoom in over here, just go kind of a little bit away from the road, and then I'm just going to start placing points. So again, we're not really changing anything in terms of the elevation. We're just placing these blank points around here, just like so. Now I'm just going to fast forward the rest of this because it is quite repetitive and it doesn't make sense to do it slowly. And now, once we have all of these points in place, this is what that looks like. I know it looks kind of weird, but don't worry, it's going to make a whole lot of sense once we start making some changes. Now, another thing that I want to do is I actually want to keep the slope that we have here for the road itself. So what I'll do is I'm just going to select this, go to modify sub elements, and then I'm just going to kind of keep the slope here. I'm just going to go up to the center here, kind of from down here, just capture the outline of that road. So again, at the point, you make sure it's along the surface, offset from surface is 0, and then I'm just going to go perhaps from here and just outline this road. Again, let's just speed this up because it's quite repetitive. Okay, so once we have this in place, this is what that looks like. Looks pretty good. Now I can just focus on the road. So I'm just going to go here back to modify sub elements, then select this line, and here I can read the elevation of this line. So that's 760.8 I think, millimeters. I'm just going to Control C to copy that. And because I want my road to be flat, I'm just going to then copy those points along both sides of this road. So I've just copied that number, go to add a point, and then let's just go here with along surface. Now I can use lines. I've just found that it kind of makes some weirdnesses in terms of what the topography looks like. So I'm just going to go with points. And yeah, instead of along surface, I'm just going to switch this to absolute and then enter that elevation and then just start placing points here, just like so. See how that's starting to change the topography. So just like that. Make sure you don't put too many, but also not too little. So we're just going like this off this edge of the road and then just repeating that on the other side. And as you can see, it's kind of making some changes to the topography or to the contour lines of the topography below. So there we go. Now, if I go to the 3D view, you can see we have kind of flattened out this road part. And because I have placed these points on the outline, you can see it kind of saved the position of the rest of the topography. So for example, if we didn't have these points, this would kind of go straight to the top and it would look kind of weird and it wouldn't make sense in reality. Okay, so we have that one done. Let's then go back here to site, and here what I'll do is I'm just going to switch this back to just the option along surface with 0, and then I want to find the center line of this road, because again, we want to flatten out this entire parking lot and road area. I want it to be all kind of in the same line. So what I'll do is I'm just going to kind of place some points along the center of this. Now here you can see this road, and let's say we want to flatten this out. That kind of makes sense. You want to flatten it around kind of the center coordinate, and then here we want to kind of build it up, and then here we want to dig it in. So I need to have kind of the center coordinate, and here it's kind of giving me 2100 millimeters. So I'm just going to remember that number, switch this to absolute, and then use that. So 2100. And then I'm just going to go all the way around my parking lot area with that value. And as you can see, it's going to start changing the topography according to that. So just like so. There we go, placing it there, here as well, and just going all the way around. And there we go. So now this is all 2100. If we switch to the 3D view, we can see in the 3D view, this is what that looks like. So we have kind of flattened this part out. Now let's switch to the upper portion. So again, I'm just going to use the same approach. So here we can see when we hover over it, I'm just going to go around the center, and here it's giving me 3780 or something like that, or 70. Let's go 3770. So I'm just going to enter this into absolute elevation, 3770, and then just start going all the way around to give me that. And again, I'm just going to speed this up because it's repetitive. And there we go. Now you may have noticed that here I have stopped where this road is because we kind of have this ramp going all the way up. So yeah, it kind of makes sense to look a little bit like this. I kind of like the way that looks right now. And here we can see it does have a little bit of these weirdnesses, so you can add additional points in order to kind of flatten it out a little bit. But overall, I really like the way that this is turning out. So here, yeah, it seems to be good, kind of going up the road here. Yeah, it's all looking fairly good. Now we're going to be turning this from actual grass into asphalt, paving, or something like that. So what I'll do is I'm just going to select the entire Toposolid, go into Subdivide, and then go into Site. And then here I'm just going to use Pick Lines, and then pick the lines that I have already sketched out. Now I'll just use the Tab key to select the entire chain of lines, and then hit Finish. Now it might give you an error that looks like this, and it's really annoying, so I'm just going to cancel out of here, and then I'm just going to delete this kind of weird overlapping Toposolid that it does. So I've noticed that sometimes the subdivision will give you this error, and a way to easily kind of get over it is just to give it a small offset. So if I just use pick lines and go with something very small like 50 millimeters, and then hover over one of the lines and hit the tab key, place it so it's just offset ever so slightly, and if I hit finish, now as you can see, it's working properly. So if you ever get stuck like this, it's a fairly painless way to fix the issue. So now in the 3D view, this is what that looks like. So what I'll do next is I'm just going to go here to Toposolid, hit edit type, duplicate this one, and let's call it Asphalt, and just keep the same size, or actually let's make it 100 millimeters smaller, so like this. And then this is Asphalt. Click OK, go here to edit, grass, and then let's just change that to asphalt. There we go. And I'll just make this a bit smaller, so 900 instead of 1000. Hit OK, apply, OK, and then I'm also going to give it an offset of -100 millimeters, and then it has that indentation, and this is what that looks like. So looks very, very nice. Of course, you can fix it up here by modifying some of those points, but this will get you kind of 95% of the way. You can also add a curb simply by selecting the entire thing again, going to subdivide, and then let's go to site. Here I'm just going to use pick lines, hover over one of these, use the tab key a few times, select, then add an offset of, let's say, 150 millimeters, and then hover over the whole thing again, hit the tab key a few times, and there we go. Hit finish. And now I'm just going to go into edit type, duplicate this one. This one will be called curb, and it will be a bit higher, actually, like, let's go with just 50 millimeters higher than this one. Okay, click OK, go into edit, and then here I'll make this 100. And I'm just going to find some lighter material. Let's try concrete and try to find something a bit lighter, like this one. I guess we can go with this one. Okay. Okay, again, apply. Okay, go to the 3D view. And now, as you can see, we have that nice outline of our parking lot. And then finally, if you want to add actual parking spots, you go here to component, you search for parking, and let's go with the 90-degree one, and then you can just start adding those on your parking lot. And in the end, you get a very cool parking lot that looks like this. Now, if you would like to get access to this Revit project file or all of my Revit project files, you can find all of them on my Patreon page. The link will be up in the cards above and also down in the description of this video. Thank you for watching, guys. Make sure to check out my website, balkanarchitect.com, for more Revit courses. There I have over 120 hours of content, and I'm adding more each week. Make sure to subscribe for more videos, and also I've added a video over there that might interest you as well.